All right, let's dive into something a little different today. We're going to look at one of the smallest creatures on the planet, the ant, to try and understand some of the biggest questions we have about ourselves. It's kind of wild, but their world is this incredible mirror for our own civilizations. So let's get into it. So here's the real hook, the idea that just grabs you. On one hand, ants are absolute masters of cooperation. I mean, they're incredible. But on the other, they're complete prisoners of their own society. That's the paradox, right? That's the key to this whole thing. So you have to ask, what can this tiny creature living this incredibly rigid life actually teach us about our own struggles with freedom, community, and just survival? Okay, so first up, let's just look at this from a purely scientific point of view. I mean, when you really get a glimpse inside an ant colony, it's impossible not to be blown away. It is an absolute marvel of natural engineering. You could almost call it a perfect system. And what makes it so perfect? Well, it's built on this really remarkable social complexity. Think about it. You've got this intricate division of labor where every single ant knows its job. This leads to this incredible systemic cooperation on a massive scale. And the whole thing is just fueled by nonstop, super organized work. It is the ultimate model of efficiency. So when you boil it all down from a biological perspective, the entire point of this incredible system is just one thing: survival. It's all about preserving life. The whole colony basically acts like one giant superorganism, using its structure and its amazing coordination to beat back whatever challenges the world throws at it. But there's always a but, right? That perfection, that absolute, flawless order, it comes with a pretty steep price. There is a dark side to this little utopia. And this is where that mirror we're holding up to ourselves starts to feel, well, a little uncomfortable. And that brings us to the big question, really. With all that efficiency, all that perfect order, does any of it lead to a good life for the individual ant? You know, is this perfect society actually a happy one? And the answer is, well, it's a hard no. And man, this quote from the source material, it just hits you right in the gut. Nature's goal, it seems, is to condemn these little creatures to a leisureless, unrelieved existence. They are, for all intents and purposes, slaves to the system. Their only purpose is to serve the continuation of what the author calls a universal despair. Wow, that's some heavy stuff. So here's the big philosophical takeaway, the reflection in the mirror for us. In the world of the ant, the individual is, well, it's nothing. It's completely swallowed up by the community. And that points to a pretty chilling idea, doesn't it? That from nature's point of view, your personal happiness isn't just a low priority, it might not even be on the blueprint at all. So why? Why does this tension even exist? To really get it, we need to break down the two fundamental paths to survival. These are the deep, deep instincts that drive, well, pretty much all of us, ants and humans alike. You know, it really all boils down to these two massive opposing forces. On one hand, you've got cooperation. That's all about building order, sharing resources, and creating social discipline. It's that core instinct to work together. But on the other hand, you've got competition. And that's about survival through dominance, defending your turf, and straight-up aggression against anyone outside your group. Okay, and this is where we draw a straight line right back to us. That cooperative instinct, in human civilization, that becomes what we call social power. You see it in our institutions, our laws, our ethics, our moral codes. And that competitive instinct, well, that becomes individual power. We're talking personal ambition, climbing the ladder, creating hierarchies, and that basic drive to control resources for yourself. Okay, so now let's turn that mirror directly on us. How do these ancient, almost ant-like instincts actually shape our super complex modern world on a daily basis? And really, this conflict is at the heart of, well, pretty much everything. Our entire civilization is shaped by this constant tug of war between these two huge forces. You've got social power, that's our need for community, for fairness, for rules that apply to everyone, and it's always in a battle with individual power. That's our personal drive to get ahead, to achieve, to lead. And here's what's so important to get. This isn't just about modern politics or the economy. We are talking about ancient attitudes that have been evolving right alongside us for centuries. These drives have literally shaped our genes, the way we think, and the societies we built. It is baked right into our DNA. So, what's the lesson here? What's the big takeaway from these tiny, tireless insects? Honestly, it's less of a lesson and more of a warning. a major warning for our future, and a path we have to be really, really careful about navigating. And here's the warning, laid out as plainly as possible. If we don't stay aware, if we don't consciously recognize these two powerful forces pulling at us, our civilization is at risk of the exact same fate as the ants, a future of eternal work, endless war with outsiders, and absolutely no joy. And that leaves us with what you might call the great human challenge. How do we do it? How do we build an organized society without completely dehumanizing people? How do we get everyone to cooperate without totally stamping out individual freedom? And maybe most importantly, how do we survive and endure as a species without losing our sense of meaning in the process? And it all comes down to this one final critical question. It's the tightrope we are all walking every single day. Can we actually harness our amazing ability to cooperate without building the same kind of prison the ants live in? Finding the answer to that, well, that might just be the single most important task we have. Because you can be sure it's going to define our future.